quite dark anyway, but it was a lot of other reasons, and I think people who read the book actually understood it was more about sort of my life circumstances and what was happening around me.
And what was that? Was that to do with your family?
So it had a lot to do with my family, with the relationship of my parents, which was quite turbulent and difficult. And I think the whole sort of Soviet Union regime was very hard for everyone. And, you know, when I was a teenager, the Soviet Union collapsed, and that created a lot of trouble around, not just for my generation, for the children, the teenagers, but also for my parents, for example. They both lost their jobs. You know, it's very hard. And the whole country was pretty much like at war, just without bombing, basically. You know, it was a very hard time. And obviously I lived through it while I was a teenager. And, you know, it was, the thing which made me happy at that time was my dancing and my dance sport. So I think that's why I've called my book like that. So.
Yeah, because it must have had its limitations at the time. But you were fortunate because apparently your father loved music. So you used to dance to his music.
My father was a musician, yes, and I had a little band, and obviously I grew up in a household full of music because he was always playing at sort of birthdays, gatherings, anything like that. And I fell in love with music at a very young age because, like whenever I've had the music, I just wanted to dance, in front of everyone, and I suppose that's how my parents saw that I have a sort of a potential to be a dancer, and took me to dance school. But music definitely was sort of like a big part of my life, when I was little.
And what sort of music did your father play?
He played a lot of different sort of like a reggae kind of style music and stuff, but also a lot of actually Cuban music, because Russia and Cuba was very close because of the political regime, communistic regime at that time. And lots of foreign music was actually prohibited on the radio and television at that time in Russia. But Cuban music probably was the only one which is really sort of was familiar to us. And he played lots of Latin songs, Cuban songs, and I guess this is where my love for Latin dancing was born.
So by the age of 7, you were winning competitions, and apparently at 16 you'd established yourself as a renowned, you were a champion, but you were also a dance teacher.
Yeah, I started teaching very, very early because what happened was my dance teacher died in a car crash, and it was two of them, the husband and wife, Igor and Olga, who had our dance club. And obviously after she died in the car crash, it was very hard for my dance teacher, Igor, to continue on his own with all the children in the dance school. And he asked a few of us, sort of from his older groups to help out. And I was really interested. I really wanted to be a teacher, dance teacher. I really loved working with children. So I started teaching when I was only like 15 years old, just helping out, first with classes and stuff, and then carry on my own classes. So yes, that sort of started very early in my career, and I love teaching, and I still do.
Now, we all know you from Strictly Come Dancing on Sunday evenings, but you started off apparently in America.
What do you mean, I started in America?
I've got here, you were invited to the United States to compete professionally with an American dancer, and a partnership that propelled you to win international competitions.
Yes, so if you're talking about my competitive career, yes, it started in America. Well, I continued in America because I was invited to go to the United States, to a town called Seattle, the city of Seattle, and there was a dance school which was looking for a Russian-speaking dance teacher, and obviously I moved there and started competing and dancing at local competitions first, and then went on to big national competitions and so on. But the actual journey was strictly started, yes, I did Dancing with the Stars live tour, and after that live tour across America, I was invited to do my first year on Strictly Come Dancing, and I suppose that's how it all began for me here.
And you've had some different Strictly partners. Are they all equally as good dancers as each other?
Well, no, of course not, because there is very different personalities on the show, and there are different levels of dancing. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. Obviously, everybody knows I danced with John Sargent, who's a political journalist and a 64-year-old person who never danced before, and I had to obviously make the routines which suit him and, were fun and were interesting for the public to view. Yes, maybe dancing wasn't very strong, but, the actual personality shines through, because John was absolutely fantastic to work with, and he was very funny, he was absolutely wonderful, person to work with. And that was very different sort of routines from what I did with last year with Simon Webb, who's obviously a singer from Boy Band Blue, and he was such a 6-year-old guy who was much more capable and stuff like that. So you adjust your routines and level of teaching to the person you're with. You have to be very clever as a teacher, as a choreographer as well, to see, what will suit your partner, and obviously you work from there.
How does it work? Do the producers just pick you all out and say, right, this is your partner for this year, and that's that, you have no choice?
Yes, that's exactly how it works.
And sadly, you were voted out recently, but Daniel O'Donnell, you did a great job with him.
Thank you. He was a wonderful guy to work with, such a lovely, lovely person. And, it said it was kind of over quite quickly, but, we had a really lovely time together, and we still speak on the phone every week to each other, because, he really lovely guy, and this is why Strictly is so special, because you meet some exceptional people, and you met great friends, and, it's definitely, I'm really happy that I was starting with Daniel, and I got to know him, and she's lovely like Marcella, because, like I said, I feel like, I've made a good friend. So.
Oh, that's nice. And how long does it take to prepare for the show? When will you start training for the next one?
Well, we all start working in August. All the professionals start working in August, because we do all of our group numbers in August. And, we do one number a day. We need to learn it, dance it, put it on sort of a video, and send it to our production. So every single dance you see during Strictly was kind of learned by us back in August. And that's where we start the professionals. Then we meet our celebrity cast in the end of August, last weekend, to do a group dance with them. And we don't know who dancing with who, because we're just rotating around. And I think this is when producers are looking at sort of who is working well with who and stuff like that. And then you obviously have your launch show, and, your partner is announced, the pairing is announced. And from that point, you have 2.5 weeks to prepare your first dance for the live show. So not a lot, and especially if you have somebody who never danced before, like Daniel was, let's say, novice, of course it's much harder, so you don't have a lot of time, to do that. But somehow everything comes together, and somehow everybody goes and dances a really nice dance in the first show. So,
do you have a favourite dance? Is it Latin?
I have a favorite dance in both divisions, in Latin and ballroom. I think in ballroom I love the waltz. It's a beautiful dance, and obviously, the oldest dance of all. It's always a pleasure to dance it, and I love the music and everything. And in Latin, I suppose it depends on my mood, but I absolutely love the cha-cha-cha, and I love the salsa. It definitely depends, I think, how you feel. You sort of, you sometimes feel like you like quicker dances if you're sort of like a great and happy mood, I suppose. So, yeah, but pretty much I love all of them.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like a great book. It's called Dancing Out of the Darkness, My Story. It's by Kristina Rianoff, who we're speaking to today. It's published by John Blake Publishing, and I believe it came out last month, Kristina?
Yes, on the 1st of October, yeah.
Excellent. And if people want to find out more about you, do you have your own website?
Yes, I do. They can definitely go and check it out. It's officialkristinarihanov.com, and they can find me on Twitter. It's KRihanov, and obviously my website is there as well. But the book is available on Amazon, and they can find it through Amazon definitely to purchase.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll look out for you on next year's Strictly. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
No worries. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
This is Talk Radio Europe, your voice in Spain.